Hello, everybody. Welcome into Roosters on Olentangy River Road here in Columbus. It is Lettermen Live, brought to you by our friends at Roosters, a fun, casual joint and a fun, casual conversation about the Ohio State Buckeyes. That's Spencer Holbrook wearing that beautiful shirt on my far left. Attack and dominate. You guys know him, Anthony Schlegel in the middle, and Mike Doss, the boss, right here next to me. Talking about this team coming off the off date. It's November. It's championship season. We dove into how Ohio State was going to handle some of the attention and those off-date practices last week, but now we got another game. Maryland and a 44-point spread. I mean, we don't have to make our game picks right now, but when you hear that number for a Big Ten game, what do you make of that, Mike?
I mean, that lets you know that we're right there. We're top in the country. We impressed a lot of people, and now they're just putting their money where their mouth is and putting it out there and saying, hey, if you want to pick the Buckeyes this week, it's going to be 44 points. So
that's crazy, Schlegs. Imagine sitting there sweating it out. You got the third and fourth string. You got the true freshman out there trying to hold on in a game that's been over since half-time.
Yeah. Why are you gambling?
Yeah.
Right. Why are you sweating?
That number is nuts.
Right.
Yeah, why can't you just enjoy it? No, I mean, 66-6. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, no, that's over 44.
Just diving right into it.
Yeah, I know. But here's the deal. With that being said is they have athletes. It's a Big Ten opponent, but it also shows the fact of, how separated and how big the gap is, even on the east side, right? You have Penn State, supposedly Michigan State, Ohio State 4. Then you got Rutgers, and you got Maryland. I don't know who else is over there.
You got surging Indiana with 7 wins.
And Indiana. So it's great. So they're the 5th, right? But there's just a huge gap, and the question is why? Right, because Maryland's putting all this money into their facilities. You hate it to where your conference is like that. I guess that's around the country, but ultimately you want for the conference to be better. You can't be having 44-point spread games on your side of the division. And
imagine what it's going to be next week when Ohio State goes to Rutgers.
That's awful.
Because that's Rutgers is a high school team right now. They're absolutely
without a head coach.
Did they beat Liberty?
Yeah, they did.
They beat Liberty.
Okay.
Yeah,
so they're,
as an underdog.
As an underdog,
right?
Yeah, good for them. They beat Liberty. I mean, come on, Schlegs. We can't be giving a Big Ten East team credit for doing that.
It happens in the SEC. You
got to give credit where credit is due.
Alabama.
Hey, Texas A&M played Texas State the other day. The Roadrunners or some kind of crap like that. What are we talking about?
Right.
But that 44-point spread there, Spencer, you've been tracking this all year. The Buckeyes are 7-1 against the number. This is the biggest one, obviously, that they've seen. It's pretty wild that that's bigger than Florida Atlantic in the opener, but that's the only one that Ohio State hasn't covered because they pulled all those guys, and they've changed now. Those true freshmen that were getting their first taste of it, they weren't ready maybe in the fourth quarter against the Owls. They're helping put away these spreads now.
Yeah, the freshmen are showing you why they came to Ohio State and why they didn't go to Michigan State or Rutgers or Maryland, because they are very good football players. Just because you have somebody who doesn't have the experience doesn't mean they're not talented. And I think that, more than anything, shows the talent gap. To game plan against Justin Fields is one thing, but then for Chris Chugunov to come in and throw for 2 touchdown passes and 100 yards against you, I mean, that's impressive as it is. That just shows, even with the backups, the talent gap with Ohio State right now is just, it's so insurmountable. They put 76 on Miami. I think the backup scored 30 of those. They put how many points on Northwestern, and how many of them were scored in the fourth quarter? I think 17 or 10 points were scored in the fourth quarter. So I think the talent gap is proven in the second half more than even in the first half when the Buckeyes pull away from these teams, because then it's just pure talent. There's no game planning against a backup right tackle. It's just he manhandles you because he's better than you.
Dude, that's a great point. Right. And here's the other thing.
Go ahead.
It keeps those young dogs hungry.
100%.
Because, obviously you go through in these hard games in the last 2 games of the season, they're not going to be getting those amount of reps.
Right.
But I guarantee you these next 2 weeks in practice and this bye week, dude, they've been hungry. They're trying to get those reps. Coaches are coaching them. And that's the one thing that I think the beauty of our coaches at Ohio State, they coach everybody because, you're only as valuable as your second best option, so we got to get those dudes ready. These are the type of games that get those dudes ready, get them hungry, and then you could also build upon what we saw from the first bye week. It's hey, here are the 3 things you do good. Guess what? We have a culture at Ohio State where nobody gives a crap about what they're doing good. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Oh, here they are. Did you fix them for those 2 weeks? Great judge. Did you fix them? Yes or no? Okay, no. Continue to work on these. Oh, or, hey, here's 2. And let's add this one in there, right? To carry us out to the next 4. right? So it's great for those young guys.
And it comes down to recruiting. I mean, we're top 5 in the country every year. We're respectively top 3. So you know that the talent pool is there, and players want to compete. I mean, we just signed Marvin Harrison Jr. His father's an NFL Hall of Famer.
Let's go.
Last week. I mean, the receiver room is getting so packed with talent. I mean, what is Heartline going to do?
Who's the cat from Rockwall?
Jackson Smith.
He had that one-handed catch.
Right.
I mean, Heartline was at that game.
Exactly.
Dude,
I mean,
what?
yeah. And then I
Let's
think
go.
did you travel? Did you go
last
watch?
week. And I was going to say, on top of that, we're meeting some really impressive dudes, not just physically. Last weekend, Berm and I and the boss man, Will Crawl, went down to Southern California, an area where you kind of see Ohio State target specific regions when programs are down. Not that they wouldn't try to go to Southern California anyway, but USC and UCLA struggling.
Right.
Well, where do they go? St. John Bosco. Court Williams, second play of the game, gets a sack. But we talked to him before, one of the nicest, most well-spoken kids that you can imagine. Clark Phillips, this guy in the secondary where they're, as you know, Mike, they might have to replace everybody. That dude is ready to play. And
competing at a high level.
Talking about his mock trial that he's still working on off the field. Like this stuff. I mean, these dudes – C.J. Stroud, the quarterback that they're trying to get committed. I mean, these are impressive guys. Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyle McCord there in Philly. So this isn't slowing down, I guess is the point.
Exactly. And they're coming more prepared into the college game. And once you commit, as Slags, the coaches giving them a nice pre-workout, hey, this is what we do on a smaller scale. So as these guys are training, they have a platform or a booklet that they can go, this is what Ohio State's already doing. Yeah. Now when I get there, it gets intensified and gets pushed to a higher level because now I'm here with everyone else. But at the same time, that recruiting process is ongoing. So these guys want to continue to improve and show when they get here that they are who they are and they have the talent to compete. And as Slade says, with 4 games now from redshirt, you can pick any 4, and the coaches can go, okay, we can hold guys the first 4. Let's throw some guys in some Big Ten competition, get them some good game tape, get them some film, and that recruiting process continues on. And they're competing every week, 2 bye weeks this year, so they're allowed to push each other and to be on that field. As you know, I mean, Chase Young was 2 years ago. We didn't even know who this guy was. Now he's a Heisman Trophy candidate as a defensive player, right? So
he's a mythical figure.
Exactly.
Well, here's the thing too: Ohio State's not just recruiting places because those programs are down. They're strategically going national to find the very best that fit what we do.
100%.
Right?
Agree.
They're going body types. They're getting athletic dudes. They're getting big dudes that are athletic. The more athletic people you got, the better you are.
Seems pretty simple,
If you look at 2006 or the 2007 and the 2008 national championships, the SEC exploited how, yes, we were bigger on an offensive line standpoint, right? But we were not as athletic as they were, having a guy that's, 6'3", 235 rushing off the edge. Our guys couldn't block it. So what do? We are now more athletic across the board, right? And how do you do that? We have a great state of Ohio. In the great state of Ohio, you have great high school coaching.
100%.
You cannot have a roster solely on Ohio high school athletes. And in the brand of Ohio State.
Well, you could, but you wouldn't win a national championship.
Correct.
Here's the deal. They are there, yes. At the same time, no. So you strategically go out and handpick the ones that fit your culture, your scheme, your program, and brotherhood, most importantly. Right? You're not second to anybody. You are your own brand. And last thing, and I'll promise I'll shut up. Ohio
For the rest
State,
of the show? The show's going to be terrible.
Ohio State has something. I heard this the other day. If you're listening, you should go look it up. Brand U. What Ohio State is doing is they are taking marketing to high school kids on their development to another level. You got the Bosa brothers. You got Chase Young. It is getting compared how many sacks the Bosa brothers and Chase Young did on a weekend. You want to talk about marketing? That's marketing, right? Excuse me. So then our marketing department at Ohio State takes that, filters it out in the pipeline, and then they also are helping brand our student athletes for life after Ohio State, whether it's in the NFL or a non-for-profit or their own business, and give them all that content. Who else is doing that? Guess what, baby? This many. That's why we're the best. We're recruiting elite people. We're hooking them up in ways that nobody else in America is, and we got the very best coaching in America.
We got the largest alumni in the country.
That's
just
right.
To add
you want to go get a job in Tuscaloosa, Alabama? Are you kidding me? Listen,
not a lot of Fortune 500 companies.
Pretty,
there.
Right? You're gonna go to Birmingham, right? Great. Enjoy that. I'll be in Columbus.
Right.
And if you like that brand new stuff, the guy who helped get that going for Ohio State, Sammy Silverman.
Yeah, Sam does a great job.
He's doing the game day posters here at Lettermen Row. So just
a
shameless plug for us.
Let's go, man.
Right out there into the wild. All right, so let's talk. Ohio State does play Maryland on Saturday. Not expecting much of a game, but this is going to be an interesting 2-week stretch here with Maryland and Rutgers. Spencer, let's start with you, your thoughts on this, because Schlegel mentioned getting those twos in. Well, there's nowhere where that could be more important for Ohio State than at quarterback, and you brought up Chris Chuganoff's name. How much should he play in these next 2 weeks?
I think he should play, if it's allowed, he should be able to play the entire second half against Maryland, the entire second half against Rutgers, because Justin Fields was banged up against Wisconsin, and you don't really know how significant that is. They're not going to say anything at all. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's nothing too worrisome, but Chris Chuganoff needs to get reps, because if he comes in against Penn State and they're up 17-3, he's got to make it a 24-3 game. You're not going to win the Penn State game scoring 13, 17 points. You're going to have to extend the lead. So if he has to be used in one of those two big games, he's got to be confident. So Justin Fields needs to get his 127 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 44 yards rushing and a touchdown. J.K. Dobbins have his 123 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, and then get him out of the game. Marcus Crowley can handle the ball. They've got a good center that they can play, Harry Miller. They've got a good quarterback for what the situation would allow, Chris Chuganoff.
Right.
Get Chris Chuganoff in the game. Let him throw a couple out routes, swing passes, Jameis Williams. Get him every throw he can make and see what he can do, because he's got to have some confidence going into those last 2 weeks in case he's needed.
I would think about, and we're getting ahead 1 week, I would think that it has to at least be somewhere in the back of your mind to maybe play Chris Chuganoff 3 quarters or even let him start and get some significant first quarter reps at Rutgers. That game is going to be an embarrassment
to the Big Ten.
Well, here's my only thing, though.
Right.
You can't substitute live bullets for live bullets.
Right.
And just because you're playing an inferior opponent doesn't mean I call the dogs off. And here's what I like. Hey, there is no apologies for getting your break speed off you 78-3. Hey, we got our second dudes in there. We got our third dudes in there. They want to eat too. And so I'm going to call plays that allow them to go eat. They still got to execute. And just because your guys stink and our guys don't at that level, that's on you.
Yeah.
And there is no substitute for live bullets. Preparation stops when the foot hits the ball. That is an Urban Meyer quote. And you respond to the level of which you've been trained. And if Chris Chuganoff doesn't get live bullets to be trained, in the moments when we need him, he won't know how to respond, because his only thing has been in practice, right?
Yep.
So he has to have those live reps, and the dudes around him need to have the live reps. The hardest thing is, through these 2 games, the number one thing is win the game, execute at a high level, and keep your dudes safe. That's it. That's it. That's the number one. That's the top 3 things right there. Poof, David Copperfield.
And
go ahead.
To his point, this is going to be a tough 2-week stretch for Ohio State from a standpoint of the offensive line. Guys like Josh Myers and Wyatt Davis have to look across the ball from these defensive tackles and say, "Oh, I got to block these guys."
Oh, I can't wait to talk about this.
It has to be. I have to maul this guy because that's my job.
I like that.
It can't be a mindset of this is just Maryland and Rutgers. We know we're going to blow them out, because if Ohio State wants to, it can score 100 points on Rutgers, and I'm not exaggerating.
That's okay.
So these offensive linemen, the defensive linemen, they can't have the mindset of this is Maryland or Rutgers. They have to, this is going to be a mental test these next 2 weeks.
Throw the towel.
They know what's coming the 2 weeks after that. They know how physically demanding those games are going to be. So they have to find a balance between playing as hard as they possibly can and not finding an injury somewhere in there.
Well, here's the thing. Guess what? We got a guy. His name is Ryan Day.
Yes.
Ryan Day's been preaching the white belt mentality. The white belt mentality is this. I've never arrived, right? Period. Dot.
That's it.
Hey, when you play football, your whole thing is should be go knock their junk in the dirt, right? But that's what I grew up. I'm from Iowa. You're corn-fed. You knock your junk in the dirt. Boom. Number 1. Number 2, don't hang in clicks. Number 3, don't take wooden nickels. What does all that mean? I don't know. But when you play, right, like Mike Doss and myself, listen, I want to physically abuse you to where when you go home and your girlfriend's at the game, like, hey, man, good game. Like, I can't even talk to you.
Right.
Like, that dude just took my manhood for 70 plays, right? Physically abused me. Or that guy physically abused me for a half. I got to go. Coach, I'm out.
Tapping out. And the biggest thing is you're building momentum, right? You're building momentum. And they only remember November.
Yeah.
Now, all that September, October, here we are. This is the last month of football, and you want to make a lasting impression on your team, and you're building momentum to get to where ultimately you want to be. It starts this Saturday against Maryland. We can talk about next week against Rutgers, and obviously 2 weeks Penn State, and finish with that team up north. But at the end of the day, we got to take it 1 week at a time, focus, get guys in, like you stated. Just get them. Let's put their foot in the dirt, put their face in the dirt, stump them in the mud, and get them out the way. Then we'll eat. On Sunday we'll relax, and then Monday we come back to work. And then let's do it for the next 3 weeks, and then beat our rival, and then we'll be right where we want to be.
Our cats are engaged, man. That's why it's so fun. I saw them in the building today. They're engaged into this, and it was a Monday after a bye week, and they're practicing. Like, guys are into where they are. There really is no lull, right? There's no lack of urgency even from the coaches, because the coaches are constantly trying to find ways to get their guys better. And when they see that, a player sees that from his own coach trying to get better, though we're 8-0 and we're going to this November stretch, it lights a fire under them because they don't want to let him down either, right?
Yep.
I think it's so cool to watch it. That's why I'm having a great time watching it this year.
Never any lack of urgency on Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. Schlegel's going to dive into that sandwich, and we're going to pay some bills, but with no wooden nickels. We'll be right back.
Hey, college football fans, it's Zach Bourne here. You need to check out BetDSI.com. BetDSI is a great way to use your sports knowledge to make some extra cash. That's right. BetDSI is the top-rated online sportsbook. They've been paying winners for over 20 years. The reason they've been around that long is because they have got the fastest payouts in the industry. Plus, the user interface and mobile site is the best in the business. Play, win, and get paid. It's that simple. It doesn't matter if it's college football, the NFL, NBA, NHL, UFC, esports, reality TV, virtually anything. You can bet it. You can bet on it at BetDSI.com and get paid right now. There's no better way to add some excitement to games that you already are watching. Check out their live betting, where you can bet on games throughout the entire matchup, every play, and every minute until the end. BetDSI has a special deal for Lettermen Row fans. Use the promo code ROW100 to get a 100% bonus match. That's more than double. That's right, more than double your money to start winning today. Once again, go to BetDSI.com and use promo code ROW100 and get this limited 100% bonus offer to make some extra cash on the sports you know and love. BetDSI, promo code ROW100. Now back to the show.
All right, welcome back in. The show rolls along here. Schlegel's eating that Italian sandwich. I'd never had that before, but you gave me the glowing recommendation. Pull it down. Eat
Dude,
it.
I love their Italian sub. I love their mac and cheese bites. Their pizzas are
those
really
are
good.
almost already gone. We're not even
Yeah, I
halfway
know.
through the show.
I was actually, I'm going to do this. I want to try it.
no.
I'm going to try that later.
No.
Hey, you know what? You got to enjoy it, man. I work out. I want to enjoy a sandwich. And then I'm going to go sit in the deer stand after this. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about?
All right, attack and dominate. Hey, Schlegel, you dropped a name in that first segment that
I blacked out in it. So who did I say?
You talked an Urban Meyer quote.
Oh, okay, let's go.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want to distract too much, but again, this is just Maryland, and it's a 44-point spread. All right, I am in one camp.
Buckeyes
I'm
by 70.
Anxious
Boom,
anxious to hear your thoughts on this. You know him. You worked with him for a long time.
Oh.
The USC stuff, I was out there in Southern California, as we mentioned all last week. Everybody's going crazy. I don't see that as a fit for him or any interest, even though he's got to be their number one target. Now all of a sudden you've got Florida State saying, well, we don't really want Urban Meyer. Okay, sure you don't.
Yeah. Why would you ever – first off, why would you say that? Like, you went from Jimbo Fisher, and then you had a guy for a year and a half, and you just had to buy him and his entire staff out for $20 million.
$20 million.
Hey,
private donations.
Hey, and here's another thing I'm going to go on a rant for. All right, before we even get to that point, I was a strength coach. Here's my biggest problem with college athletics and college football in general. You have a buyout, right? Everybody's on a contract, and you got 5 strength coaches full time. There's only one strength coach that has a 3-year contract that's getting bought out. All the other cats, right? The other 4 assistants, they're on 1-year deals. So guess what? They're probably going to get fired after this year, right? Mm-hmm. Well, why aren't they good enough to be retained? Well, coaches bring in their boys, right? It's loyalty, right? You're seeing that right now up at Michigan State. Like, there's a time when loyalty has to be severed for the program sake, right? Especially on the offensive side of the ball. We all have to make those things as leaders of when that time is. But I got cats that I know that are, boom, they're out the job. Right. And if they didn't do nothing, they could be doing a great job as a strength coach, and they didn't recruit or even coaching their dudes up. It's tough. Anyways, Florida State, why would you ever say that you don't want Urban Meyer?
Right.
Like, what are we talking about?
I guess
dumb. All right, let's go. Keep going. Next question.
But I can't.
Sorry.
I think, and I talked.
What are you thinking?
I talked to Urban. I think it was 3 weeks ago now, and
did you call him Urban?
I do call him Urban. I didn't play
okay,
for him. He's
Herbs?
not my coach.
Say, hey, Herbs, what's up, bro? What's up, God?
Well, he calls me
Meyer?
Austin. I call him Urban. We're two.
Oh, really? He does?
Yeah,
That's
we're
nice.
two. I mean, I'm one of the few guys that he probably knows. But
He probably is like you because you have this little red beard. You know,
he
you're
didn't.
kind of jovial.
Here's the deal. Yeah.
Here's
the deal.
Rosy cheeks.
He didn't coach me. He's not my coach. So
Yeah.
I know that sometimes people ask, "Is like, why don't you address him that way?" Well, he's not my coach.
Yeah.
And I'm a
Okay.
professional, and he's a professional.
Sure.
Right.
I like that
I
outlook.
call him Ryan. I
Yeah.
call him, Jeff
Yeah.
Halfley. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
I didn't know.
I don't call him LJ. I call him Sir.
Yeah.
Larry Johnson. Anyway, the point is this. I was talking to him about this year, and Tim May was sitting there with me. It was the three of us, and so Urban is really enjoying this TV stuff. He said, well, what about USC? What about this?
Yeah.
Will you go back? And the thing that told me that he had no interest in that right now, he may go back in 2 years, 3 years. He's always going to have the itch. But he started talking about ESPN and College Game Day, and, that's his new rivalry. He loves the TV part, and he's really good at it. And I don't think he knew if that would be the case. But the fact that he's starting to measure the big noon kickoff show against Game Day tells me that he's channeling his energy into something where that passion is coming out again. And you know him.
He's challenging his competitive spirit
And
in a different
he
manner.
didn't know if that was going to be the case.
Right. Yeah.
So if you don't find USC or Florida State to be the perfect fit, and maybe someday Notre Dame is open, and we'll see what happens then, I just don't see how he's going to be in some big hurry right now because it even goes back to his assistants. Give me a 2-year commitment. Maybe he's doing the same thing with Fox because next year they're going to take that show on the road every single week. I think he likes a challenge, but we'll see.
Well, I would say when they put 10, 12 million on the table,
money talks,
and coaching and his passion for recruiting and basically coming back to Columbus, Ohio and saying put that team on the schedule and I want to see them. I think that will trump everything. Because what it means when they put the money on the wood, he gonna have to look at it and say, "Is that good enough for me to make this decision?" and this Mrs. Meyer gonna say, "I think we might have to make a move wherever it may be. It could be West Coast, it could be South, but hey, this is what it's about."
I tell you what. So I know, first off, the worst job of all of college athletics is recruiting, which is why I could see it could be a good fit in the league, right? Because that is a challenge. Like, you're not there, right? Now here's the other thing.
Never done that at that level.
Here's the other thing too. Let's say it was a USC. Let's say it's to another place. Okay, who you taking? Now the game of football, college athletics, is all about loyalty of your guys that do things at a high level. That's why he brought in Mickey Murray. It's why he hired the staff and got Larry Johnson and got all these guys, Coach Stud and Ryan Day now and all these guys, right? Yeah, I mean all these dudes. All right, so here's the deal. You going to leave Columbus, Ohio? I mean, ultimately, let's say you took the USC job, right? You got your boys, right? You Voltolini, Pantoni, Mickey Marotti, like your core group of guys, right? Like recruiting, right? Weight room, finance. All right, my dudes, hey, you want to come out? You almost have to give them a raise on a raise. Right? Because one, cost of living is different. Two, they've been here now for 8-9 years, right? They got roots here, so now I got to up them out of the roots,
kids.
right? Mickey Marotti is the head of strength and conditioning for all of Ohio State athletics, right? 36 He runs that entire thing. His daughter works here. His son works in Cincinnati. So again, how am I going to get my boys? Who is the next best option? Putting a staff together will be very, very difficult, right? So again, are you going to pay for that? So one, it's not about necessarily how much I put down on the table for me. How much are you going to give my assistants? Number two is the answer always has to be yes. What do my rivals in the Pac-12 have that we don't have? Well, the answer must be yes. Do you have that back? Because I'm going to preach it into existence, right? That's what he's going to do. So if all those things, boom, don't come together, and he feels really confident because I like USC as a fit only because they got a quarterback, right? They got some dudes, and they're in a talent-rich program area where they can get guys.
Definitely.
Right? Florida State,
He call you going?
No, Florida State, no. I don't ever say no. He didn't call me. He didn't call me.
Because it's yes,
no, he's not calling, or no, you're not
calling. He said it's yes, right? He's going to say yes, right?
Here's the other thing. Then I saw the USC guy took, or the UC, University of Cincinnati job.
Yep.
He took that to USC. He's the AD down there now. Then all of a sudden I was like, you know what? If Urban really wants to be in athletics, right, what better way than to be at UC where his sister is a provost, his son plays ball, Chillicothe's a stone's throw away from there where Shelley grew up, not necessarily saying that she wants to go back to Chillicothe. Right. But anyways, you're in, and I love Chillicothe. That's Ross County. I like Pickaway County. Anyways, that being said, you could be the guy that comes in and takes UC
to another level
into the Big 12. Now you're that guy. Now it's a different competitive excellence. And you got to remember, this is the type of guy. You ask Mickey Maroney and Urban Meyer, their favorite thing about coaching is creating and developing a culture and being around the guys. And now I get to, because like on Tuesday night, he teaches all the captains of all the sports. I'm going there. Zach Bourne and I are going there. We're going to dress up in crazy outfits and do some skits. But
you don't say.
Yeah, that's what we do, man. We just dress up, you know. But anyways, like he loves that kind of stuff, and I totally agree with you in the fact that he found his competitive spirit going against this. Here's what Urban's really good at. Boom. Right now, Urban's really good at focusing and locking in on the moment. And the moment right now is I got to be the very best I could possibly be on national television.
Yes.
So he's locked into that, right?
Yep.
Boom. Once that's done, or there's that little lull after the championship games are done, I guarantee you there'll be those feelers and those things coming out. And he has the agent and they're working on it. Hey, we'll sit down then and talk about it. But really, the last thing is how much is the family missing being that relevant, and him being that relevant in the college football landscape as opposed to commenting on it. Because again, when you get out, our identity has been so much in playing ball or coaching ball, and our families, a little bit of their identity is in that as well. And when you're out of it, you kind of miss those buckets of attention being filled up too.
And I think there's lots of ways, though, that this conversation with him is so much different than 2011 and 2012, because now, hey, Nikki's grown up. She doesn't need a pink contract for Urban because her husband is on the coaching staff at Ohio State.
And she got 2 kids.
Yeah. Right. I mean, so she's got her own roots. She's got her own thing. She doesn't need, daddy to be at the volleyball game.
Right.
Like, that's. I mean, I hate to make it sound
They're
condescending.
older. Yeah, they're older now.
And Nate's at Cincinnati, so and Urban wants to watch him play baseball games. Like, that's a different situation. But Spencer, when you look at this, like, there's going to be dominoes. Schlegel used that word early on. Like, Penn State, if James Franklin is going to be the next candidate under Urban for USC or Florida State, that's a big domino. Both of those jobs potentially being open is significant on its own. Michigan State is probably going to come open as well. Then maybe Luke
Why are you
Fickell's.
saying that? Why are you saying that?
Well, Mark D'Antonio has lost complete control of that program, and he's going to be owed, I think, Spencer, $4.5 million.
It's somewhere in $3 to $4 million range in March if he's still under contract.
Just if he's on contract. There is no possible way that Michigan State can afford to keep that going with him at this point. And he's proven that.
So his contract is hurting him because he's guaranteed.
And his unwillingness to change his offensive staff. And he's still going to be named in this lawsuit that's coming up.
Yeah, the coach.
He has a lot of baggage right now I don't think Michigan State can afford to keep up.
The day he is due that money is 2 days before he has to take the stand.
Wow.
Well, and first off, they would never let that go that far because of the recruiting thing.
That decision will be made in December.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm just saying.
It's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that because I was actually in this class that Coach Meyer teaches here. I do the recitation. And today's topic was loyalty. And I said, like, if you look at, up there, right, he has been loyal. I know all those coaches. Those were my coaches. Those were your coaches, right? There comes a time in every leader's life, right, where you got to put the loyalty aside and say, how much value are you adding? Shuffling up the pieces, right? It's the definition of insanity. And thinking that I'm going to get a different result, right? Yeah, so, like, I got to go out there. Though they've been loyal, at the end of the day, the value has ceased to exist because it shows in the play that's on the field. Though they're my guys and I love them, like, for the benefit of all of us, we got to go in a different direction. And that is the one thing that separates, I think, great leaders from good leaders is, like, you got to know when that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Know when to say when.
Yep. So, anyway, that's a great – that's a great – and I love all those guys, man. I love Coach D'Antonio. I hate the fact that it's like that. But, now they owe you $3 to $4 million, and you got to go take a stand in this case. There's so much uncertainty. We got to get this program back on track.
The dominoes will fall, and I don't think they'll start with Urban Meyer.
And you think Luke Fickell would go to Michigan State?
I don't know if Luke Fickell would go to Michigan State. What I will say is all these dominoes, I do not believe can start with Urban Meyer because if USC wanted to get Urban Meyer, they would have went and got the athletic director at Washington State who worked with him at Ohio State.
Yeah, Pat Chung.
Or they would have gotten Jeremy Foley, who was a former athletic director at Florida. If they truly wanted to, they would have went and got those guys because they knew that they could try and get Urban Meyer. No, the president at USC is an academic woman. She wants to focus on academics because they've been ravaged by scandal. She went with a safe hire, Cincinnati's Mike Bone, and it just
who's already in the Pac-12
and it just points to all signs leading no Urban Meyer. So all these dominoes that'll fall, I just want to conclude with I don't think they'll start with Urban Meyer.
It's a little bit crazy before we take another break here on Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters, and disingenuous for these people to look and say that Urban Meyer couldn't help raise the academic profile of a football program. I mean,
he's done a great job
look down the street and the program
done a
left
hell of a
behind
job.
you. I don't even want to get you going on it.
Yeah, I appreciate you nipping that in the bud.
Yeah, everything down here is just fine, by the way.
Yeah, our student athletes are unbelievable.
Yeah, so let's not worry about that. Let's take another quick break here. Schlegel and Doss can dig into the food. We'll be right back.
Hey, Buckeye fans, as the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes, Roosters is giving away 12 trips for 2 to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with airfare, hotel, gift bag, and 2 lower-level tickets. One bowl prize winner chosen each week, along with other cool Roosters weekly prizes. So register every week at your favorite Roosters or at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Official contest rules at roosterswings.com.
All right, welcome back to the final segment here on Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. That Italian sandwich and the mac and cheese bite. There it is. All right. He said it's pretty good if you couldn't hear him. Look at this. Let's reset for Maryland this week.
It's pretty good for everybody out there with my microphone.
Now it's working.
Now it's good. Now we're good.
I keep bringing this up at a 44-point spread. So when you look at this week for Ohio State, we talked about Chris Chugginoff in the offense, Chase Young, maybe this Heisman campaign. You guys, when you go into a week like this and you know that you're a huge favorite, you don't want to start looking at Penn State, you don't want to start looking at Michigan. How do you maintain that focus when the stakes are getting this high, but this week is not really that week that gets you going the same way?
I mean, the big picture, I mean, obviously we know Chase Young could probably be a top 5 pick. I mean, realistically, he's playing, his performance is building rising his stock, right? So you got all these guys trying to rise their stock, and this is a week where you can go out, compete, still dominate, show what you can do. He can hopefully get 2-3 sacks early. And, you got Jordan Fuller, you got that whole secondary looking to get out early. I mean, so Okuda and those guys are going to be like, look, anytime a ball's in the air, I got to go try to make a play and get some INTs. And listen, like I said before, they only remember November. What plays you make. If they look at the stats at the end of the season, the scout's going to say he had 5 picks. They don't realize 2 came against Maryland. You know what I mean? It's like, hey,
right.
At the end of the day, they're out here trying to make sure that they're showing the level of play that they can compete against the Cleveland Browns. Let's say this is Maryland's our Cleveland Browns or the Miami Dolphins. Okay. Hey, I still have a job to do. Yeah. I got to go out here and perform, and I can show you I can play at a high level. If it's not, New England, it's against the Browns. So that's how they all look at it.
Yeah, I think, too, the brotherhood is so strong with this team, and you can hear that and how they articulate, like, about the Heisman and what are you looking for and all these different things. Right. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about celebrating with their teammate. They're talking about bringing up the younger guys and celebrating with them. They're talking about doing it for their brother. And, yeah, when you're in the mindset of that, of leaving the program better than it was when you got there and helping each other in this process and playing for one another, not to let your teammate or your brother down. Like, that's what keeps you locked in and focused and engaged right along with your coach. So, yeah, I truly expect our guys to come out over the next 2 weeks, not be a lull, execute at a high level, get them out of the ball game, get live bullets for our young guys. But that is because of the culture of Coach Dave, the staff, and the senior leaders. Like it always,
the practice schedule is not going to change. I mean,
no, it's a player-led team, but it's about the coaching.
Exactly. The culture, how they practice, their routine. They've been doing it for the last 8 weeks now. It's going to continue to be the same. So they know they're going to go out. If I'm a receiver, I'm going to catch 100 balls on every Tuesday. Well, I'm going to still go catch 100 balls. Yeah. So I'm not going to change. It's not my routine. So my routine is prepare the best I can. So when Saturday comes, it's easy. Now I just go perform.
Yep.
And to Austin's point earlier in the season, you wrote about the Northwestern game. We were on the sidelines watching Chase Young celebrate when a freshman got a sack. We were watching Garrett Wilson celebrate if Jamison Williams or Marcus Crowley made a play. These guys take pride when they get to let these young guys in the game. Yeah. And they're not going to let that slip just because they're playing Maryland or Rutgers. And I obviously can't speak for you guys because look at me, I didn't play college football. But there's got to be a sense of pride. There's got to be a sense of pride of you watch these guys work hard all week and then you get the recognition on Saturdays to let these guys get on the field. Late in the games on Saturdays.
I 100% agree. I love when we started, my career at the end, when we started, when we won a national championship that season, we played some tough games, but the couple of games where we did have a couple of blowouts, it was exciting to see the young guys go out there and play. You practice with them. They come to you as a senior and say, hey, Mike, can you work with me on this, work with me on that? Then they actually get on the field and actually produce and go perform. You'd like to see that production. So, I mean, I think these guys are motivated. They just had a weekend off, got a good chance to get home, see their family, relax, get healthy. Yep. And now they're coming back out and saying we got a home game, our home crowd. noon kickoff, and we're gonna get this thing over. Hopefully by 2 o'clock.
I like this. We just gave the audience listening a challenge. So here's the challenge. You're at your work. Guess what? You want to be like the Buckeyes. So when somebody does something at an elite level of your job, I want you to go over there, dap them up, right? Do they clap on them like, great job, attack and dominate, right? Let's celebrate that with your teammate at work. How much more enjoyable would your work be if everybody just had juice, right?
Got the
And
juice.
just instead of just like being here all pigeonholed in their deal, like walk around, look people in the eye, get juiced up. Hey, way to dominate that sales meeting. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you dominated that cleaning. What I don't know. You just dominated. Go Bucks, and then say go Bucks to him.
You gave Austin and I the juice.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Our Slack channel is just about to get live this afternoon.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's wind it down here. Lettermen Live brought to you by Roosters. It's prediction time. I think Schleg's already tipped his hand there
I don't
right,
even
right
know,
off the
man.
bat.
I don't even know.
He might change it. We'll
50
see.
to 70. They'll win 50 by 50 or 70.
50 or 70.
Yeah, somewhere in there. I get 20 points.
Spencer, what do you got?
I guess 51-6. That's a
No.
45-point win. I got him covering.
Okay, there you
I'll
go.
give Maryland
They're gonna cover.
You're
two
nervous
field
about
goals.
that spread, aren't you?
I am a little nervous about that spread because I think you're going to see guys like Javonte Jean-Baptiste and Zach Harrison on the field with Chase Young. I think you're going to see Jamison Williams and Garrett Wilson on the field while Justin Fields is still in the game. I think you're going to see a lot of mix and match to get these guys some confidence playing with the starters.
Dude, that's
And
absolutely correct. That's going to happen.
Josh Proctor might get 20 snaps rather than the 7 or 8 that he's been getting in those certain packages because you've got to get these younger guys some experience with the starters.
Yeah.
And so I think if you see a Maryland bust off a 30-yard run while a freshman tackle is in there, that's, you're still going to win the game.
That's to
so
be
if they
expected.
get into field goal range a couple times, that's not a big deal to me. 51-6 just seems like a logical score, and you cover by 1 point.
That makes sense.
We got to remember last year we went to overtime. I mean,
That is still, even with the games that Ohio State lost over the last 2 years, that overtime game against Maryland is still one of the most inexplicable things I've ever seen.
298 yards rushing by one dude, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, wasn't it over 300?
After 3 carries, he had like 190 yards.
Exactly.
I just
He
vomited
busted
in my
80
mouth
yards.
right now
Yeah.
thinking about that.
They are going to try and prove a point.
They
to
are.
Anthony
So, I
McFarland
mean, you
this
got to
week. I
think.
will
They're
say
going to
that.
go. We just played with these
And it's at
guys a
home,
year
too.
ago. We're coming in their house. So at the end of the day, we competed with these guys with the same team. Just like we said, our same defense was
Yeah.
what, 70-second? 70-second defense?
Yes.
Right?
That's real.
Right?
That's real talk.
So
1 year later.
1 year later. So
Who's
Maryland's
taking
thinking the same thing. Like, listen, we're the same team from last year. We scored 40-something points against these guys. So we got a chance.
50.
Yeah, we scored 50 points. So we got a chance to at least come in there. Now, the reality of it is we don't think that's going to happen.
No.
But at the end of the day, they have the confidence to think that they can come in, put up points, and compete. So and they're on scholarship too.
You know what? You got to break them off, dude. You got to show them. You got to set the standard right out the gate. Oh, you think this was last year? Bam. Like, so what happened to these cats, man? They just knocked my junk in the door. Hey, dog, you okay? No, my junk's over there, bro. Let me go get that.
There's a lot of people that are finding out that this is not last year's Ohio State team.
I'm just saying, they played against us well last year. We got to think realistically. They're going to come out. They're on scholarship
No, man,
too.
yeah, they're on something.
They're on scholarship too.
Yeah.
So we hope they come out the tunnel.
Crab cakes in football. Maryland.
Hey, the crab cakes are still good. I don't know about the rest. It's going to be 63-3 on Saturday. We'll break that down all week for you at LettermenRow.com. This has been Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. That's Spencer Holbrook, Anthony Schlegel, Attack and Dominate, Mike Doss. I'm Austin Ward. We will see you next week right here at Roosters.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe below to get the latest videos from Lettermen Row.
We got Lettermen Live, we've got the practice report, we got rapid reaction. Hey, and we got Buckeye IQ with Zach Bourne.
For sure. We got recruiting breakdowns with Berm. We got whatever you need. Ohio State football and Ohio State athletics, we've got you covered here at Lettermen Row.